How do pensions work? What are the different ways that you can access your pension in retirement? If you access your pension in the correct manner for your circumstances, it's likely that you'll pay less income tax and your money will go further. We're talking about defined contribution pensions. We're going to build on the HMRC documentation, Your Pension, Your Choices, and we're going to use some examples to bring it to life. I'm Ian Shadrack. I've been coaching people for over 4 years on their finances. I'm a qualified accountant with over 30 years of experience. As I run through the options, I'm going to give you the timings on the video for the chapters so you can easily access the options that are right for you. I'm going to give the page number in the HMRC documentation so you can learn more about things. The first option is to retire later or delay taking your pension. You can still make contributions to your pension up to the age of 75. The limit on what you can put in is 60,000 or 100% of your taxable earnings, whichever is lower. And even if you don't have any earnings, you can still get tax relief on up to £3,600. But some workplace pensions might be more restrictive than personal pensions, so you might need to check with your provider. The next option is to use your pension to buy yourself an annuity, which will guarantee you income for life or possibly just for a fixed amount of time, such as until the state pension kicks in. So you can buy an annuity from your pension provider if they sell them, or from any provider. It's up to you to choose. And generally, the older you are when you decide to take out an annuity, the more money each year the annuity will pay you, because generally upon death, the annuity is worth nothing, although there are some that will pay a limited guaranteed income to your surviving spouse. And it's important to note that you shouldn't buy an annuity from tax-free income, because annuities are taxed at your marginal rate of income tax. So what people do is they take the tax-free cash, and then with the taxable part of the pension, they buy an annuity. So the way I think about pensions is to utilize 3 buckets. The first one is called uncrystallized funds, and this is simply your pension that you haven't touched. Then there's an optional account called Drawdown, and that's your crystallized pension, where you have taken a tax-free cash portion and then the taxable part becomes crystallized within your pension pot, and I'll explain that a bit more later. And then the third bucket is your bank account. So if you have a pension pot of £400,000, 25% of that will be subject to tax-free cash. So you can take £100,000 straight into your bank account, not pay any tax, and then you buy an annuity that will pump money into your bank account every year, just like the state pension. And the HMRC website, Money Helper, provides a tool where you can compare different annuities to see which is the right one for you. So next up, you can use your pension to provide a flexible retirement income. So you take the tax-free cash from your pension into your bank account, either in one go or in stages, and then the taxable part of your pension moves into this drawdown account, and you can take the income from that as and when you want. So this is known as flexible access drawdown. And here's our example where we've got the £400,000 initially of uncrystallized funds. So if we take £20,000 of tax-free cash to our bank account, we'll then have crystallized 3 times that amount, so it's £60,000 into our drawdown account. And in terms of our pension, there's just a notional partition between the crystallized and uncrystallized funds. So it's not that certain parts of our pension have specifically been crystallized, like say Scottish Mortgage is crystallized but our global tracker is uncrystallized. It's just a notional partition that goes on with your money. So now what we could do is take £30,000 from that drawdown account. We would pay income tax on that. So we'd have our personal allowance to utilise, and there'd be a bit more that would be taxable. So it'd be around about 27,000 of that 30,000 that would drop into our bank account. Or we could take the whole £100,000 of tax-free cash in one go, and then it's kind of like having a tap on our drawdown account, and we can turn on or turn off that tap as and when we want in different tax years to get the money out in the most tax efficient way for us according to our needs. So here's another example where we've crystallized in stages. We've taken 20,000 of tax-free cash initially, 12,000 of taxable cash into the bank account. That's below the personal allowance, so we didn't pay any income tax. We then crystallized 48. Then in another tax year, we've taken £30,000 of tax-free cash. We've crystallized 90, taken 12,000 out of the drawdown, again below the personal allowance, not paid any income tax. And then we've got an additional now 78 in the drawdown account. So we've essentially got these taps that we can turn on and turn off to just drip feed the money in as and when we see fit. So your pension provider will deduct tax from your income payments from your pension under pay as you earn. So as you take it, you'll get charged tax. Now, initially, your pension provider won't know your overall income. So they use an emergency tax code to start with, which might mean you initially pay too much tax and you can claim it back from various forms from HMRC. So one possible way around this is to make sure that the very first withdrawal from your pension is quite a small amount, like £1,000, £100, and then that will trigger a relationship between HMRC and your pension provider, and it'll be more likely to be correctly taxed on the rest of the pension withdrawals. So if you die before the age of 75, any remaining part of your pension will pass income tax free on to your nominated beneficiary. But if you die over the age of 75, when money is taken out of a pension, either as one of these lump sums or as income, it will be added to the beneficiary's income and taxed at their marginal rate. So the issue here is to try and take the tax-free cash out either before you're 75 or once you are 75, be a bit more aggressive on that tax-free cash. And then also from April 2027, there will be inheritance tax payable on your pension when you die, and that will be paid by your pension provider. So next, you can take your pension pot as a number of lump sums where you're taking both the tax-free cash and the corresponding amount of taxable cash at the same time. And you can do this to your heart's content until your money runs out. And the maximum amount of tax-free cash that you can take from a pension is currently £268,275. So there may be charges from your pension provider every time you make a withdrawal from your pension. So you need to be aware of that. And also, taking large amounts of taxable cash from your pension in one go can push you into a higher tax band. So it's best to calculate your income tax prior to making large pension withdrawals. And to facilitate that, I built a pension withdrawal calculator spreadsheet, and I'll put a link to that in the video description. And what the spreadsheet does is it takes your existing sources of income, so maybe dividend income you've got, interest income you've got, state pension, side hustle income, taxes that, and then you add on anything you want to take from a personal pension, and then it looks at your overall tax bill. So we're again going to use the example of someone with £400,000 in their pension, of which £100,000 is tax-free cash. So if they want to take £25,000 of tax-free cash, they'll crystallise £75,000, but this will go straight into their bank account. So you've got pension lump sum. There is no money that goes into a drawdown account, and that £75,000 will be taxed, and the tax bill will probably net out at maybe about £58,000. Once you've taken taxable cash from your pension, the maximum contribution that you can make is now £10,000, and this is called the money purchase annual allowance. So sometimes in the early years when people are taking a pension, they use the flexible access drawdown rather than this UFPLS unfunded pension lump sum method, so that if they did go back to work, they've still got their £60,000 allowance in tax. The next option is to take your pension pot in one go, which does sound pretty crazy to me. 25% of it will be tax-free, the rest will be taxable. This is possibly an option if you just have a small pot of, say, like £40,000, but I recommend consolidating your pension pots into one, and then it's much easier to manage. So here someone's taken £100,000 of tax-free cash, they've crystallised £300,000, and they've paid a whopping £121,000 in tax. So generally, this is something you want to avoid. So you can also mix your options. So you could use different parts of the same pot for more than one of the options that I've outlined. You can use separate pots for separate options, or you could combine smaller pots before choosing one option, but it might depend on what your pension provider will actually allow you to do. So things can change over time in terms of your financial circumstances, and that's what could cause you to want to mix your options. So for example, you could go from working full-time at the age of 55, so you don't want to access your pension, drop down to part-time, maybe take a little bit of tax-free cash, then go for not working, and then you might want to take lump sums under UFPLS. You'll start to collect a state pension, or maybe a defined benefit pension, and that will alter your financial circumstances. You might receive an inheritance, and then you want to put your pension drawdown on hold maybe, or you might undertake a major expenditure such as a house extension, and then you might want to use just tax-free cash under Flexi Access Drawdown to fund that, to lower your potential income tax bill. So there are a lot of choices open to you, and the best thing to do is to model those choices in a retirement calculator or a wealth plan. And this is a service that I provide in a spreadsheet format, because I find that spreadsheets are easy to understand and much more customizable. So you can either go to my website and learn more about the product itself, or you can sign up for my newsletter and again learn more each week on how pensions work. And the best way to learn more about this is to watch a case study video and just find one that's appropriate to your age and your circumstances, and then you can see in action exactly what's going on. So I'll put a link to a video here and a link to my case studies playlist in the description.